ton of friends. I lost
Yeah.
friends when I said yes to God, which is
Mhm.
crazy because the people you think that are going to go on this journey with you are not, but they're not supposed to. God
Yeah.
called you, and it's not a conference call. My family didn't understand me walking away. My friends didn't understand me walking away. Like I said, so walking by faith will make you look like you have lost your mind. But that's why they call it crazy faith. So call me crazy faith.
But I love that, and that's what other women need to know. It
Yes,
seems crazy, but your
yes.
tree is being pruned of all those dead branches. Tired of the tears, the worry, the anxiety when starting over? Whether starting over from divorce, passing of a spouse, job loss, or other major life event, starting over can be hard. I know I've done it myself, but that's why I created Starting Over Wealth, the podcast. This network is created for women just like you who are ready to shift their mindset from worry to wealth. So click follow, subscribe, and join in on this conversation of Starting Over Wealth. Hello, Dr. Faith, and welcome to the Starting Over Wealth podcast. I am thrilled and honored that you are here with me today.
Oh, I can't even stop smiling. I'm just so excited to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for having me.
For those who don't know, Dr. Faith and I go back a little bit and we have an amazing story. This is actually our second podcast recording. I've had Dr. Faith on my other podcast, Created to Give, because this woman has been created to give out and give back and pour into other women because she first poured into me through the power of Instagram. We met on Instagram when I was absolutely at my wits' end. I was in the car, just couldn't speak. And I said a prayer. I said, show me, show that was meant to speak. I've got this hold on my voice and just what is it? And then I opened up my Instagram and there was this breathtaking woman who then says, I don't know why I'm on a live today. I'm not usually on a live. I had a client cancel and I felt this pull to get on the live because someone needed to hear a word today. And then there she was. And I was like, you're talking to me. So Dr. Faith that I met through that. Since then, I spoke at her first ever conference that was held in the Dallas greater area out of Texas. And it was amazing, called Elevation, the Gathering. Dr. Faith is getting ready to have another conference. And so I had to have her on here because for Starting Over Wealth, for other women that are starting over, that may be in their car wondering what is holding them back. Why are they sitting in fear? And why are they were meant not only to give, but to become unstoppable. So, Dr. Faith, thank you so much for being with me here again. And I would love for you to introduce yourself just a little bit more and why you are an unstoppable woman.
Wow. And Trisha, again, thank you so much for having me, even on your first podcast. I love hearing that story of how we met. I get chills every time I hear it because that shows how intentional God is about his daughters. He heard your prayer sitting in a car and he cleared out my day for you. That's just how much he loves us. So every time you tell that story, it just blesses me all over again. So I'm so glad that he canceled my day because you're so stuck with me. I don't think you knew that you were going to sign up for this, but yeah, you're stuck with me now.
I love it. I love being stuck with you because Dr. Faith and I have reconnected on so many things since those moments. I think it was August when it first happened. And then October, I spoke at the conference. We met again in January at a TEDx conference. It has just been such a blessing. God completely did cleared your calendar, got me onto the app. And again, the beauty and the power of when social media actually brings people together.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And you mentioned that, oh my God, you graced us at Elevation Now, the Gathering. That was, of course, the first conference. I stepped out on faith totally because God is not checking your bank account because trust me, the money was not there. He's not checking your credit score. He's checking your faith. So Elevation Now, the Gathering was a huge faith move for me. And he didn't say do a half day conference or a 1 day conference. He said, I want a 2 day conference where you gather my daughters. And I want it, of course, spiritually based, but I want my daughters well versed in their finances and how to show up, how to dress. That's why we had so many layers to the gathering. And I'm crazy enough to be obedient to do it again, to
I'm
do it
so excited
again.
for that. Because I received, yes, I came as a speaker, but I received so much because yes, you have a lady there about styling and how to style yourself to be able to show up and just the confidence level that each woman walked away with. And I know in starting over for so many women, confidence is one of the biggest things that's hit.
Yes,
We don't know who we are again.
yes,
We don't
yes,
know where to even begin.
yes.
So having that confidence to step one foot in front of the other, you're surrounded by other women, and just that confidence to be able to dress and discover who you are in
Mhm.
clothing, who you are
Yes.
with money, and who you are relating to other women who maybe have gone through the same thing or going through it right then, or maybe you're being prepared and strengthened to help
Mhm,
another woman who's about to go what you have been through. So I would
mhm.
love for the women though to know a little bit more about you because I know a little bit about you and there's a reason why we're connected. And again, you can't shake me either. But
Yes,
I would love to women to know the story behind where you started over. Where did
yes.
you begin? And how did you get to this point where now you are unstoppable?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I would love to share that story with you. I have always had a passion for women, seeing them win, building them up, encouraging them. So even with me being in private practice as an oral and maxillofacial surgeon, I was still ministering to women in small groups, home groups. I wrote my book. I was coaching per se while I was in practice, while I was in practice. But God was training me for what I'm doing right now because there's a huge difference in doing what you have been trained to do in school and what God calls you to do. So during that time, I didn't quite understand it, but I'll never forget. I call it the red light experience. I wrote this in my book that has yet to be published, but it will be published by October. My father calls me Butterfly. That's my next book. But I call it the red light experience. I was sitting at a red light and I was like, okay, I need to get serious about retiring from private practice. So, God, I looked at this property. What do you think about it? Should I get it and we can build on it? And he says, go get my daughters. And I said, okay, we can do that. We can do that. But this property, this is what I want to talk about because I don't know. Should I put the deposit down? And he said, go get my daughters. And I sat there through the red light, the green light, the yellow light, another red light. Luckily, nobody was behind me, but we were having this dialogue. I was saying one thing, but God was giving me the command. I totally ignored it. A couple of weeks later, he just said, go. And I'm like, okay, God, go where and do what? I ignored him. I do not suggest that you ignore the command of God on your life. Don't let this happen to you. Because when I tell you, after I ignored his call in October, from October to December, all hell broke loose in my life. In my practice, the landlord went up on the rent, the roof started leaking, the foundation went bad, the water leaked on my $25,000 x-ray machine that I had to replace. Patients started canceling, and I'm a specialist. Patients don't cancel on me. Patients started canceling, insurances started denying claims, the brook dried up immediately. God will do what he has to do to get your attention, to move you to the place that you're supposed to be in. I went crying. Okay, God, I hear you. I went to my husband in tears because I was making six figures comfortably. And I'm telling my husband, God is saying, close the practice. That pulls six figures out of my household. But my husband trusts the God in me. And he said, baby, if God told you to go get his daughters, I'll handle this. And he has handled it for the last 5 years. So I'm so blessed to have a man that believes in the dream that God put down on the inside of me. I closed my practice. I had a full blown meltdown and I went through a year of grieving because people don't realize whenever you're separated from something, be it a relationship, be it a career, be it a physical death, you have to grieve the process. But after that grief, God started showing me and aligning me and putting me in places and rooms. And I was like, okay, now it's making sense. So I can sit here and tell you with such confidence that I am living the reason that I was born. And a lot of people can't say that, but I am living the reason that He created me, which to go get His daughters.
Mm.
In a
Oh,
nutshell. In a nutshell.
it's so powerful. It's so powerful. And there's just so many nuggets there because I want the women to understand. Again, this is not something when you're starting over, it's not that something's forever, but it's not something that's fast. There is a grieving process that you
Ooh.
have to go through, whether it's divorce or your husband's passed away, you've lost a job, or suddenly God has told you make a shift in
Mhm,
your life from making six figures. Because for a lot of us, that is our identity. We were
mhm,
taught that
mhm,
our title as doctor,
mhm,
our title as an MBA, our
mhm.
title as this, that defined who we are. And then all of a sudden it's wait, no, this inside of me, that's who I am.
That's who I
And getting back in touch with that little girl that one day she had a huge dream and she felt that creativity, she felt that imagination, she felt something that was about to burst before life came around and said, no, you need a title. That's who you are.
am. Mhm,
And it
mhm.
becomes a huge shift. But there's a grieving process
That is.
to
Yes,
really
yes.
uncovering all the layers of stuff.
Mhm,
To put it
mhm.
nicely, it's covered up who we are.
Yes.
But I love the piece of when going back of because a lot of girls out there, a lot of women, she was a doctor. And again, you were a specialist.
Mhm.
You were a specialist that had achieved all the things. And wait, but she left all that
Yes.
for a calling.
Mhm,
Because sometimes it is a choice, but then sometimes when you don't make that choice, it's forced.
mhm,
So maybe
mhm,
a woman has her husband left her, or again, suddenly her spouse passed away. Again, you got laid off. There's all these things in life where we have started over. But the biggest piece where you touched on it is sitting down and going, okay, to grieve
mhm,
and to unpack, uncover those layers, and then being ready to go and to
mhm.
go for it. Now, I
Absolutely.
do want to bring back because for a lot of women, they may not have that significant other in their lives
Mhm,
to be able to support them through it.
mm.
So I've got a couple questions.
Okay.
What would you suggest to a woman, especially when reaching out to other daughters, to other women? How would you suggest to a woman who may not have that man in their life? They may
Mhm,
not have a significant other. They may not have a support system currently to
mhm.
reach out to when all of a sudden God says, move, and you
Move.
don't have a choice.
My advice to that woman is to find your tribe. Find your community because there's so much power in unity. There was so much power in the room at Elevation Now. I still get testimonies of women who have connected, who started businesses out of that conference that we had. So finding your community, finding that support system, learning from them, learning from their mistakes, get in front of other people's audiences. Like I said, you and I were connected, but what if I had not said yes to God? Just think of the domino effect that would have had in the lives of so many women. So, getting around the right community, staying engaged, having them hold you accountable because we can't do it alone. We need that push. We need that, Tricia. Did you put that podcast together? Dr. Faith, did you start that nonprofit? We need that. So when you don't have that significant other, you have your sisters, you have your communities, you have your groups to stay connected to. And trust me, that is the push that you need for you to take that first step and keep going and be unstoppable. Trust me.
I love that because it is true. Because
Mhm,
I did not have a significant other when I started, or not once, but twice. And I
mhm,
made the mistake the first time of isolating myself, of sitting back in a
mm,
hole for 6 months, not
mhm,
reaching out to anyone. I just went to work. I came
mhm,
home, did what I
mhm,
could with,
mhm,
at the time, a young son who had special needs. I just kept powering through. but I knew there was an emptiness inside.
Mhm.
I couldn't be the only one going through this, but I
Mhm.
felt like I had nobody else to talk to. And so I wish I would have had the voice that got on the podcast. I wish I would have had the voice who started the conference, who wrote the book. The woman like, "Hey, wait, I'm not alone. Wait, there's other women that have gone through this and they can help not only support me, but help give me advice on financially where to begin, emotionally where to begin, be able to make new friends." Because a lot of times those starting over events isolate, you lose a lot of friends. Did you
Mhm.
lose a lot of people that you were essentially associated with being a doctor in a private practice and it was all about the prestige?
I lost when I was in practice, making all the money, picking up the tabs and taking people shopping and paying for the vacations. I had a ton of friends. I
Yeah.
lost friends when I said yes to God, which is
Mhm.
crazy because the people you think that are going to go on this journey with you are not, but they're not supposed to. God
Yeah.
called you, and it's not a conference call. My family didn't understand me walking away. My friends didn't understand me walking away. Like I said, so walking by faith will make you look like you have lost your mind. But that's why they call it crazy faith. So call me crazy faith.
But I love that, and that's what other women need to know. It
Yeah.
seems crazy, but your
Yes.
tree is being pruned of all those dead branches that
Yes.
are taking the nutrients out, and there's no life on it. It's not producing
Yes.
any fruit. It's not no there's
Yes.
no pretty flowers on the other end. It's a way to be able to get rid of those dead limbs, and
Mm-hmm.
what you have left, or
Mm.
maybe you've been replanted into whole new soil. Your
Mm-hmm.
tree got picked up and maybe you had to move to another state. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you had to move to another church. Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
had to move to another community. You were picked up and replanted. But
Mm-hmm.
wow, the
Hmm.
nutrients you get there
Yes.
will provide for your tree to be able to expand, grow deeper
Yes.
roots. And so we
Yes.
start thinking about it. Sometimes it's not what you've lost, it's what you're about to gain.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm-hmm.
both of us through our starting over, journeys that we've gone through, especially professionally, the amount of growth. You and I would have probably never have met through Instagram. We would have never be having this conversation right now. We would have never been at your conference and met the absolutely incredible women I'm still staying connected to and I'm listening into because they
Mm-hmm.
poured into me. Again, I wasn't just there as a speaker. I was there in the audience just absolutely feeling absorbed, feeling like that I was meant to be there. This was my family has been forever. And it was the
Yes.
first time I walked in the room. There was only you and I believe a friend from high school that drove
Mhm,
all the way down to be there, her and her daughter. Those are the only
mhm,
people I really knew in the room. Oh, and our friend Elizabeth. Can't forget
mhm.
our friend Elizabeth.
Yes,
We'll mention her in the show notes because she's a whole nother vibe that we've got to
a
bring in.
whole 'nother vibe. I love her so
Whole
much.
other vibe, but
Yes.
but again, that's the thing is you and I went and watched her at her TEDx talk.
Mhm, mhm,
There was people that I was introduced to, you were introduced to, that
mhm,
you were
mhm,
connected there to Elizabeth, another woman I had met that I was able to introduce you to there in Dallas,
mhm.
Krista.
Yes,
All these
yes.
women that were meant to be together, but if one of us wouldn't have been obedient, one of us wouldn't have
Mhm,
pruned our trees, we wouldn't have gone
mhm.
through that thing, we would have never have known that we were unstoppable. And I
Yes,
love that word because that is now, if you haven't picked it up, that is the theme of Dr.
yes,
Faith's conference that she
yes,
will be holding in the Dallas area, greater Dallas
yes,
area.
yes.
Is it gonna
October
be
25th
Frisco?
and 26th. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And I love that theme because that's
Mhm,
one thing we don't feel
mhm,
unstoppable when We've we're lost, we're confused, we feel alone and isolated. Our confidence is taking the biggest hit. The last
mm,
thing we feel
mm.
is
It's unstoppable.
unstoppable.
And that's all a trick of the enemy, especially that isolation. And then he attacks you with your past. He attacks you with words. He attacks you with social media because everybody looks like their dream life is exploding. And then that makes you feel less than. So it's designed to stop you. It's
Right.
designed to stop you. But we're tearing all of that apart and we are going to be unstoppable women. That is my goal. That is the mission. And I'm so excited. When God gave me unstoppable, I was like, oh, that's it. That's it. We gathered last year. Now we are unstoppable. And I love it. I love it.
Well, especially too, like you said, whenever you first are going through this, or you've been going through it for a while, when you reach out to other women, or you put yourself in a room and maybe you arrive there by yourself. I've done that. I've arrived at places by myself, not
Mhm,
knowing anyone.
mhm,
But it just takes one woman, a
mm,
smile, a
mhm,
nod,
mhm,
then a hug. And next
mhm.
thing you've got a friend for life.
You're
And you have a
connected.
friend in life who's going to keep you accountable.
Mhm.
And how are you doing?
Yes.
How can I pray for you? How can I be there
Yes.
for you? How can I
Yes.
help you financially rebuild? And
Yes.
they'll also help you. If you listen in, they're going to help you uncover the gift that you were given at birth that was made to multiply. Because sometimes those
Mhm,
really hard shifts in life are meant to uncover that gift because that's the reason you can multiply. Like
mhm,
you and I right now are operating in our gifts. We may have had the titles, we may have had
mhm.
all between the education and the between corporations and practices, but that's who not we were created to be. When we've stepped into this, which we know was
Mm.
super uncomfortable, but
Yes.
we feel like we're about to burst. Our heart, I don't know about your heart right now, but my heart just feels like
I
it's
get
about to burst.
so excited.
This is what we were meant to do. We
Right.
were meant to bring women together, and I used to not you couldn't get me in a room full of women. I
Mhm,
had trauma from middle school, private
mhm,
school.
mhm,
There was no way you
mhm,
could get me in a room full of women without just feeling flushed and anxious, and I wanted to run out the back door. Usually, I did sit in the back row so I
mhm,
could run out the back
mhm,
door,
mhm.
but there's a reason I wear bright colors
Yes.
because now it helps me not hide. It helps me
Yes.
not hide. It helps me feel uncomfortable. So I go and I greet. So I go and I
Mhm.
smile. And next I'm about to burst because wow, my story has helped your story and your story is
Yes.
helping my story. And
Yes.
that's what God meant for us to do. We become unstoppable when
I
we
love
share our gifts with each
Yes.
other.
I don't know if you remember at your session at the gathering, we almost had to cut it off because those women were asking question after question, just pulling from you. And I was loving it because we need that. We need your knowledge. We need your experience. We need your mistakes. We need your stories so that you can help us go to the next level in our finances. Everything is not always throwing a scripture at it, it's some practical things that we need to put in place. So I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you have agreed to come back to Unstoppable because you can have a prayer life and still be broke. You can dress the part and still your finances just be raggedy. So we need you. So I'm so grateful, so thankful for you. For real. You're getting me in order. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, but it's a hard journey whenever you're a finance professional. But yet your finances have been in a mess because you've started over, because you've been in debt, because of but it's because of stepping out of that shame and
Mhm,
breaking off what the enemy's trying to tell me that us to be ashamed. No, that has taught me so much. Even in this current situation, I'm in my husband 1 month after our wedding, injured his spine. So here I am finally remarried after 15 years of divorce. Oh, God, I
mm,
all this waiting 9 years. And here I am. And then 1 month, I'm like, okay, really? But instead, it was, wow, I see what he's doing. There's a layer of protection that
mhm,
all of us have been missing.
mhm,
When you rebuild, you may have this beautiful house, gorgeous home, beautiful
mhm,
yard, swimming pool, all the things that look Instagram pretty.
mhm,
You don't build on a firm foundation, it gets
mhm,
wiped away. You
mhm,
built on quicksand. Just like
mhm,
right now,
mhm,
as we're speaking
mhm,
in San Diego or the California coast, where the waves come up, and now out of these $1 million homes, the foundation's falling out from
mhm,
underneath it.
mhm.
It could look
Absolutely.
pretty on top, but what do you have underneath?
Oh, yes, say
Being
that.
able to show other women, wait, we need more firm foundation, whether it's
Mhm,
life insurance, disability
mhm,
insurance, and different levels of
mhm,
protection to build around our homes
mhm,
so that when life throws us a curveball, again,
mhm,
gratefully, my dad was a financial planner, taught me all these skills,
mhm,
but you can have all the skills until you implement it.
mhm.
There's knowledge and there's wisdom.
Exactly.
Wisdom is applied knowledge, and we all need to
Exactly.
be better about applying it and not be so afraid of our
Mm.
finances. If
Mhm,
I can do it and I can
mhm,
rebuild after having, again, third generation, even my grandfather was in finance and in insurance.
mhm,
if I can learn lessons every single day, even when I'm walking through with my husband's disability, he will never be able to work again. We've
Mm-hmm.
got 6 boys, but
Mm.
I'm leaning into my gifts.
Yes.
How are you leaning into your
Into your
gifts? And
gifts.
that's why, by the way,
Yes.
because there's something inside of us, each one, it's wanting to overflow. It's wanting to
Yes.
overflow, but we think what one day, maybe a girl in middle school said something to us, whether it
Uh-huh.
was a significant other that said something to
Mm-hmm.
us, whether it was a boss, some lady at church hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I've got church hurt. We've all got
Mm-hmm.
church hurt.
Mm-hmm.
There's things, that's what they said, but that's not what he said.
That's not what he
Who does he
says.
call you? Who
Mm-hmm.
does he call you? And getting back, I think that's the biggest piece of starting over wealth. That was the first piece downloaded to me right after my mother passed away 2 years ago, was that starting part,
Mm-hmm.
starting back of who are you before
Mm-hmm.
those things happened?
Mm-hmm.
Even after those things happened, who were you created to be? Getting back to your true identity, rediscovering
Yes.
who you are,
Mm-hmm.
that was meant to multiply, that was meant to be wealthy, that was meant
Yes.
to create things that are gonna impact long
Impact.
after you're gone.
Yes. Yes. It's touching lives, changing lives,
Yes,
transforming
yes.
lives, elevating lives. I mean, we all have something to give, but we have to get past that fear, the fear of showing up, the fear of stepping out. And even like when you were talking about your finances, we look at our finances like this. We just don't want to see it. And we think it's going to go
Nope,
away. We think it's going to go away,
mm-mm.
but you cannot grow your numbers if you don't know your numbers. So you called us to the carpet and said, look, where are you? And where do you want to be? And what are the steps you need to take to get there? And you were like the money maven that just opened our eyes. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it was absolutely powerful.
What's why I
Absolutely.
think I feel like if is seeing it visually, and that was my biggest piece is helping you see it visually. It doesn't have to be just a spreadsheet. It's not on a computer screen. When
Mhm,
you visually can draw it out. My father drew a triangle,
mhm.
and my son now speaks in visions. He was autistic who did not speak to the age of 6, so I
Uh-huh.
would show him through pictures. He's still now he's 19. He could talk to you all day long, but when he talks to you in pictures,
Mhm,
the way
mhm.
other people understand and being able to have that picture of, yes, your picture right now with your finances, may not look so good, but you're seeing it. You have visual, you're taking ownership of it. It's no longer
Absolutely.
scary because you can see it. It's not, the
Mhm,
light's not turned off. There's not something scary underneath your bed. You can see it's just a shoe.
mhm,
Turn
mhm,
on that light, see it's a
mhm,
shoe. Okay, I
mhm.
got a vision of a shoe. But you know what? I'm getting ready to have a tall pair of boots, man.
There you go. There you go. There
By
you go.
looking at it, by seeing it, you're able to grow. And I
Mhm,
think that's our biggest thing when starting over. It's hard to feel unstoppable
mhm,
because we're not seeing the bigger vision,
mhm.
because we're not even seeing right before in front of our own feet.
Right.
It's
Right.
easier to sit in the dark. It's easier to sit in the closet and cry.
Mhm,
It's easier to hide in the back corner
mhm,
than to be in and to numb ourselves.
mhm,
You know, so right now
mhm,
I've been real
mhm,
focusing on that word drift, drifting off, because it's easier to drift off
mhm.
than to focus on what's right in front of us
Right.
and be able to tack it and step over it.
And step
Because
over
if
it.
we start stepping over it, next we're at the top. But if we drift over to the side, we're never gonna get anywhere. It may feel easier, but you feel lost. And that's when you're
Yes.
sitting in that darkness. That's when all those thoughts that are not assigned to you, they can creep in. That's not who
Mhm,
you are.
mhm.
You're meant to stay right in front, turn that light and start stepping
Start
all the
stepping.
way up, because that's when you do become unstoppable.
Mhm.
When your small little shoes, your little slippers become tall boots because you're able to stand up taller, because you've just taken those steps all the way up where you were meant to be, that place in life that you were created to
To
be. And that's
be.
why
And
I love, love, love that word unstoppable.
me too. I don't
Yes.
think he could have given me a better theme for this year. And you were talking about drifting off into isolation. And I couldn't wait to jump in because that is, again, is the power of community. That person in your life won't let you drift off into isolation where the enemy puts you in a headlock and starts feeding all those lies. So, community is so important. And that is why I continue to stay in touch with the women. We have a private Facebook group, the Elevated Elite Society Facebook group, where I am constantly still pouring into them, still staying connected because I don't want anybody to drift off. So that's important. That is absolutely important because that is, like I said, again, it's the trick of the enemy to pull you away and get you over there isolated and then just start feeding you lies. You can't do this. You can't have that. You're too broke. You're too tall. You're too short. You're too something. So no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Mm-mm.
No, ma'am, we're not
Not on
doing
my
that. And that's what I
watch.
do.
Not on
I
my
want to
watch.
leave these women with steps of empowerment to
Hmm.
know
Hmm.
whatever dark season you may be in, where you feel like you're starting over, again, no matter what it is, divorce, passing of a spouse, job loss, job change, something that
Yes.
has thrown a curveball where you are sitting in that moment of why me?
Why me?
But it's why not you? Because you were strong enough to be given this.
Hmm.
And
And
it's
you can
for
begin
something
again.
greater.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
It's for something greater. So for
Hmm.
that woman, where can she reach out? That initial step. Again, where all of a sudden you had to close your practice
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
start that grieving process. Where is a safe place in linking to your community
Hmm.
and a safe place to be able to grieve, to be able to have accountability, just to get started and get connected with you and these other incredible women?
Absolutely. As far as the private Facebook group, it's called the Elevated Elite Society. And if there's any woman who feels like she needs community, she needs connection, she needs accountability, and we talk about everything in the society: health, nutrition, exercise, money, just empowerment subjects. So if she needs that, just send me a request to join and I will approve it. So that's how to get into the Elevated Elite Society on Facebook. As far as the conference, the tickets actually went on sale today. And I know it's March, but October will be here before you know it. It's going to be a sold out conference. Do not procrastinate. Go to my website at speakingbyfaith.com and register. It's early bird pricing. Go ahead, get in. You're getting your refund checks back. Do not go shopping. Invest in yourself. Invest in your future. Invest in your spirit. Invest in your body. Something that will last. This stuff, all of this stuff, is going to just go away. Where thieves can come in and steal, but they cannot steal your growth. They cannot steal your wisdom. They cannot steal your knowledge. So invest in yourself. The investment is minimal compared to what you get those 2 days. Trust me on that. I have gotten the best of the best to come pour into us for 2 days. 2 days. And this is not conference as usual because we're tired of information without transformation. You will not leave the same. You will not leave the same. So go to the website, secure your spot today. Be intentional. That's part of the characteristic of an unstoppable woman. She's intentional and she is not a procrastinator. She knows what she wants. She goes for it. She doesn't care what anybody thinks about it. So go do it today. Secure your spot in the room. Join the society. Register for the event. Unstoppable. Come on, Queen. You got
Uh,
this.
oh, love it, love it, love it. Because you're right. It's you are there for the transformation. You are not there for
Absolutely.
the information. So many conferences we go to, we sit, yay, we leave.
And it's emotionalism. You feel
We're
good.
it's gone 2 days later.
2 days later.
The
2 days later,
It
you
has been
you
a
can't apply
testimony. It
anything.
has been a testimony since your conference October, how many women have stayed accountable, who stayed active, stayed connections, built businesses.
Yes,
There is
yes.
reason for that transformation to happen. And if you are starting over, this is a perfect time for you to
Yes,
be able
I
to.
start your coaching program that you started after
Yes.
Elevation Now. Yes, your financial coaching program. I'm one of your students. Go figure. Yeah.
Listen, we pour into each other, and this is what women
Yes.
do. We are each
Yes.
given a gift. Interface gift. We have different gifts, so we're able to
Mhm.
pour into each other, and that helps each of us become better. Because I
Mhm.
even poured into it was a beta program going, okay, this is what I have on my heart. What do you think? And be able to develop this so it can grow and we can be able to help other women because we know we were not meant again to do life alone. We were
Exactly.
there to pull other women up with us and pull a seat
Mm.
at the table.
Mm.
This is a table to pull up a seat. We were meant to bring our minds together to mastermind, bring
Oh,
our geniuses together and pour in to each of us. And that's where we
yes.
grow, especially
Yes.
financially. If financially you are struggling, you've got to have those other pieces. You cannot financially do it alone. You only have so many times a day. You cannot have 3 to 4 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Is being able to understand the ability of, yes, investing not only in yourself, which in
Mm-hmm.
turn gives you a return of investment, being able to have passive income through whether it's digital products, through high yield savings accounts. You're learning all these things of being
Oh,
able to have this residual income
yes.
because you listened and poured into each other in a season when you were wiped clean. The slate
Mm-hmm.
was wiped clean, bare down to the foundation. This is time to rebuild.
Yes, it
This
is.
is the time to
Yes, it is.
rebuild. Because like in
Yes.
my PhD, this is we were rebuilders. We were
Mm-hmm.
rebuilding on that firm foundation and being able to rebuild our houses, not just the pretty house and the mansion, because again, the foundation can be wiped right out from underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the foundation of a house we were always meant to build that's going to have a legacy that lives on past us through books, through YouTube, through podcasts, through so much because our stories need to be written. Stories need to
Absolutely.
be out there because our stories
Absolutely.
are unstoppable.
Yes, and our wealth is directly tied to our gifts. Those gifts that are
Mhm.
making room for you. He said, I'll give you the power to get wealth. He didn't say, I'll give you the power to go get a job. I'll give you the power to get wealth. We have things inside of us that can produce several streams of income. But that thing
Yep.
has to be awakened within you. It has to be pulled out of you. The fear has to be removed. That's what unstoppable is all about. I'm so excited about what God is going to do in October. From the beginning to the end, it is going to be absolutely explosive. Explosive. Even the speakers are excited about coming back. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
I am thrilled, excited as a speaker and excited to be in the room because the
Yes.
energy is electric. And so are you, Dr. Faithful, so much. Thank you so much for coming on again and pouring into these women, especially right now in their starting over journeys. They need it
Yes.
to know that they too are unstoppable. So get connected with Dr. Faith. We're having it in the show notes, and I hope to see you there at the conference. And thank you for tuning into this episode of Starting Over Wealth, the podcast. If this episode was epic for you, we would love a 5-star review. This helps us share with other women who are ready to shift from worry to wealth when starting over. And if you would love to join our network, don't forget to text SOWN to 1-844-540-0415, and you will not miss another episode, another opportunity to join in a network of women just like you.